Hello, guys. Welcome back to another episode of the Cosmic I Ching series. We're going through all 64 hexagrams of the definitive edition of the I Ching, book called the I Ching Oracle, the Cosmic Way, which revolutionizes our understanding of what the hexagrams really are and what they mean. Here we have the true cosmic meanings of all the hexagrams. And here we are on hexagram 41, decreasing. Mountain over lake, the judgment. Decreasing combined with sincerity brings about success without blame. One may be persevering in this. It furthers one to undertake something. How is this to be carried out? One may use 2 small bowls for the sacrifice. The harmonious interweavings of the cosmos are directed only toward increasing all parts of the cosmic whole. Decreasing as a cosmic principle has the single function of decreasing the ego, because it is the element that separates a person from the cosmic whole and its gift-giving nature. Of primary importance is the decreasing of certain active aspects of the ego, which prevent the person from drawing the help of the cosmos. The increase that results from decreasing the ego brings increase to the cosmos as a whole. And since he is part of the whole, it also brings increase to him. How is this to be carried out? The cosmic helpers help him to do it. The sage, as the cosmic teacher, leads the process. At any time during the process, he can ask the sage by using the RTCM what he needs to do. The RTCM, the retrospective 3-coin method, which we've seen a lot in this book, where you can simply toss the 3 coins, with a question in your mind, and the sage responds to your consciousness. Like 3 heads means yes, absolutely. 2 heads means yes, but, there's something more to inquire about there. Like, you can get your questions answered in real time from the sage, the cosmic teacher. Wow. A great number of other helpers, each being an expert in its field, cooperate in this task of decreasing the ego. A person decreases active aspects of the ego when he divests himself of seed phrases resident in his psyche that activate ego emotions such as desire for approval or desire to be recognized as special or exalted, self-doubt, infatuation, pride, envy, hatred, guilt, jealousy, ambition, boredom, pity, self-pity, excessive grief, possessiveness, and anger. When it has been seized by the ego, all of these emotions, except anger, are part of the false inner program created by the collective ego. 2 small bowls refers to the Chinese custom of offering up to the ancestral deity 2 baskets of grain as a gesture to attain its help. This can be taken as a metaphor for sacrificing 2 things: the small seed phrase that gives rise to a particular ego emotion, and the small sacrifice of pride that is required to ask the helpers for help. All ego emotions either demonize helpers or keep them at a distance. When demonized, the helpers become arms of fate, whose purpose is to make the person aware that something is amiss. Fate can be experienced as a variety of adversities, small or large. Finding the seed phrases that give rise to ego emotions can end these adversities. In general, they are phrases that slander the true nature of the cosmos. Among these seed phrases are those that express anger at the cosmos because a person thinks he has no help for his life, because he thinks his rights have been violated, at another who should be behaving more sensitively for having betrayed his true self. The person needs to turn his anger over to the cosmos. Otherwise, the ego's attachment to this strong emotion will prevent his attaining help in clear view. Ego emotions have the effect of imprisoning a person's inner hearing, blocking access to his inner truth. Then all he can hear is the reasoning of the ego, which speaks in a demanding tone that he should do something about the situation. Listening to it only leads to regrets. The person needs to say the inner no to all ego demands, and then devote himself to finding the seed phrases as mentioned above. When he rids himself of these seed phrases, his fate is ended, and the demonized helpers are freed from their imprisonment. Decreasing also refers to saying the inner no to all aspects of the ego that are active in a given situation, whether it is in an intimate situation or a global concern. All action recommended in the I Ching refers to inner action. Very interesting. By using the RTCM, a person can make sure whether doing so is appropriate, since the inner truth of the matter is not always apparent. Each time he decreases the ego within himself, he decreases the active egos in others and the collective ego in general. Line 1, going quickly when one's tasks are finished is without blame, but one must reflect on how much one may decrease others. Going quickly when one's tasks are finished refers to the way the helpers, in keeping with their modesty, do not dwell on the help they have given. They are not to blame for the bad consequences that occur when the person who has been helped then claims what has been done as his achievement. This line states the cosmic principle that all great inventions and discoveries are due to the help given by the cosmic helpers, which always comes when a person has realized that in and of himself, he cannot bridge that last gap between his effort and success. The sage and the helpers help invisibly in all human endeavors that seek to further the whole. The ego, however, in its desire for recognition, would deny and betray the help given by the sage and the helpers and seduce the person to appropriate the achievement to himself. When this happens, the achievement gradually loses its value. The same decrease occurs when we decrease the importance of the helpers that made the gain possible. This line sometimes refers to incorrect ways in which we put questions to the sage, and in particular to our expecting the sage to support our pre-structured beliefs and belief systems. This attempt to use the sage for our egotistical purposes causes the sage to retreat. Then the answers we receive are but projections of what we want to hear. Line 2, perseverance furthers. To undertake something brings misfortune. Without decreasing oneself, one is able to bring increase to others. This line states the cosmic principle that all undertakings that arise from an attitude of true modesty bring an overall increase to others and to oneself. The increase occurs because modesty draws the cosmic helpers to complete the cycle of cosmic energy needed for success. When our goals are consistent with inner truth, we receive the help at the right time. Allowing the help to come from the cosmos is not a decrease of self or self-worth. It is only a decrease of ego pride. However, when a person wants to undertake something while the ego is in control, the helpers are excluded, and what he undertakes brings misfortune, or if continued, creates a fate. Not only does his action lack the cosmic energy needed to bring the task to completion, the ego also has to steal energy for its efforts. This energy is taken either from the person's true self or from other people involved in the situation. A person can also receive this line when he pursues correct goals but uses the wrong means. As when he excludes the helpers and relies solely on effort guided by his intellect. Increase is brought to the situation only by engaging the helpers, for they alone know the inner needs of each situation and thus act in harmony with the whole. A person can also receive this line when the ego in him seeks to correct another or bring him into line with the rules of the collective ego through exercising self-righteous anger. Doing this decreases and humiliates that person's true self. Perseverance furthers its advice to seek out the inner truth of the situation before undertaking anything on the outer plane. Either spells or fate, which may be identified through using the RTCM, may have brought about the difficulty. Line 3, when 3 people journey together, their number decreases by 1. When one man journeys alone, he finds a companion. 3 people journeying together refers to the presence of ambition in the situation, which is the element that needs to be decreased. Ambition is an active aspect of the ego that wants to make swift progress. It is the element in a person's psyche that casts about through every book on a subject, the various people mentioned, in search of the right answer, while the sage that is here referred to as the real companion and that stands ready to connect him with his inner truth is ignored. This ego attitude has caused the sage to retreat. The sage also retreats when a person takes on humans as his only guides and teachers. Upon renouncing humans as his sole guides and asking the sage for help, he gains the sage as his companion. This line is also received when a person is journeying through life in the company of half-truths put forward by convention, which he follows without questioning. One of the half-truths indicated by this line is the assertion that you need to find others who know about the truths of life because you cannot find your way alone. This seed phrase soon attracts people who assert themselves as helpful companions through flattering words such as, if you'll follow my system, you'll be guided safely through life and beyond, or by threatening, you cannot afford to go without me. Other mistaken beliefs that are also based on half-truths revolve around guilt and sin and false definitions of fate and duty. All these beliefs make what the sage says unintelligible because they are either words that have no cosmic basis, guilt and sin, or else they have been turned to the use of the collective ego. Each of these beliefs attracts companions in the form of complementary beliefs that promise to ease the burdens created by the half-truths mentioned, either in this life or in the afterlife. If a person fails to rid himself of the key seed phrase that draws such companions, he will soon find himself attracted to yet other companions, people who promise to give him help for his life so that he is not alone. This line makes clear that such companions are all self-serving, which also means that they have a vested interest in his continued dependence on them, and that he give them his chi energy. They distract him from recognizing that the sage is in his presence, available to help and teach him if he frees himself of these false companions. Only when he is willing to go on his way alone can he free the sage in his presence to come to his aid and to be his companion. Line 4, if a man decreases his faults, it makes the other hasten to come and rejoice. No blame. If a man decreases his faults, can be counseling a person to rid himself of certain seed phrases or images that create a separation between him and the sage. One such fault is his self-image of being on the side of the good, while perceiving another as on the side of evil or as a culprit. Another fault is in seeing himself as naturally flawed, or as possessing original guilt for having an animal nature. Still another fault is embodied in the belief that humans are at the center of the universe, responsible for bringing order to the world. These ideas are either false through and through, or they are half-truths based on the error of perceiving only the appearances of things. All such half-truths create a separation between the person and the cosmos. Seed phrases having to do with fault and lack come from the collective ego. They suggest that humans are born with faults and that they are born lacking and ill-equipped to cope with life. The idea of lack is the entire basis on which the ego is built. The words no blame are a statement that humans are born without blame, which also means without fault or lack in their inner makeup. Ideas based on lack give rise to thinking in terms of limited resources, limited food supply, limited space, etc. Such views not only obliterate the existence of the helpers, they demonize them, thus increasing the adversities envisioned. Connected with the idea of lack is the false phrase, decrease can never lead to increase. However, as this hexagram shows, the path by which the true self is liberated and validated is entirely a path of decrease. By taking away what is false, the person is reunited with the cosmic whole, which is the source of all increase. The mistaken idea of being born inadequate gives rise to striving to become something special. This can lead to an obsessive quest for abstract knowledge, as in, you need to be in the know, with the implication being that to know is to be like God. A person may receive this line when he relies on the use of power to make change happen. All use of power, as hexagram 34, using power makes clear, is against the cosmic principles, and if used continually, creates fate after fate. The use of power in I Ching terms not only includes overt actions to make things happen, but also thoughts, which create projections, spells, and poison arrows, and the incorrect use of words, as in arguing, contriving, persuading, competing, etc. The correct way to influence a situation is to first say the inner no to all ego activity, and then to ask the sage, both in one's own presence and in the presence of the others involved, to intervene to disperse all ego activity. Then everyone involved finds cause to rejoice. Line 5, he is indeed increased. The oracle predicts success in everything he does. This line affirms that because a person has been following his inner truth and has been sincere in his way of life, he is drawn the help of the cosmos. It helps him to be successful in all that he does. Line 6, if one is increased without depriving others, there is no blame. Perseverance brings good fortune. It furthers one to undertake something. One obtains a helper, but does not have a separate home. This line can refer to a person who has been expecting increase, but did not get it. Instead of indulging in feelings of hurt pride, he needs to say the inner no to the ego in himself. This will return him to modesty. The cosmos cannot give gifts when we hold our hands out for them in expectation. This line can also mean that a person, through undertaking the decrease of his faulty ideas and attitudes, as mentioned in the previous lines, has gained the help of a particular helper. This helper is then able to add everything this person undertakes to the increase of the cosmic whole by making the necessary transformations. And bringing himself back into harmony with the whole, the person has both activated this helper and reconnected with the cosmos, which is his true home. Perseverance brings good fortune refers to the person who recognizes the cosmic source of his increase. He perseveres in saying the inner no's to the ego's attempts to appropriate the gifts by suggesting he has deserved them. He also does not allow them to be used for any egotistical purpose. This line states the cosmic principle that cosmic gifts may never be used for egotistical purposes, because doing so decreases the cosmic whole, creating blame. All right, guys, very interesting hexagram there, 41, decreasing. Thank you so much for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to like and subscribe right there, and I'll see you again in the next one.